I got into surfing because I spent a lot of time on the beach at Castle Rock. Castle Rock's on the north coast of Northern Ireland. I was 9 years old. My brother and I, young little kids, used to bodyboard and then we got into surfing. That's just really it. By the age of 6 I was water skiing, so it seemed to me like a natural kind of progression to start surfing, considering I was at the beach all the time. I think Ireland as a surfing destination is already recognised, globally. I think a lot of people around the world, you look at surf magazines nowadays or in online videos and DVDs, Ireland features quite regularly in them all. Gone are the days where, you only went to California or Hawaii or Australia to surf. It's now a global sport and Ireland fits in there perfectly. And we have some of the best waves here on the north coast and on the west coast of Ireland. Some of the best waves in the world, especially, from in all different types of variety of waves. You've got beach breaks, point breaks, and big wave spots, and that's why it's such a good place to go, because there's such a variety for every level of surfer. I think Scotland is very similar to Ireland in a lot of ways. It's got a lot of variety of waves, beach breaks, point breaks, various reefs and stuff. There's a smaller crew of surfers, much more underground hardcore element to it than you would get maybe here nowadays. I think it's largely, I think Ireland maybe is a step ahead in terms of the amount of exposure it gets, whereas Scotland is definitely recognised worldwide. It's got one of the biggest contests in the world there, in the WQS Tour. I just think maybe there's a lot of spots there and things that still have to be discovered and opportunities out there. Okay, I've ridden big waves all over the world. Most recently, the biggest waves I've ever surfed were in Portugal this year. And I've been to Portugal lots and lots of times, but never to this place called Nazaré. I've been there now for the last 2 years or so. I went there in November this year to surf with my co-partner Andrew Cotton and Garrett McNamara, Hawaiian surfer, very well known surfer from Hawaii, Garrett McNamara. And we had a couple of sessions under our belt, and then one morning came along what looked to be an ordinary kind of swell. It wasn't that big. There were 50-foot waves coming through. Then all of a sudden it started getting bigger and bigger, and both Cotty and I were riding 50, 60-foot waves. Then at Nazaré in particular, it's a very unique place in the world. It's got a very deep underwater trench which feeds right to the beach, which is unusual from around the world. Because of that, we think the waves refracting and bending and bouncing through this deep water canyon produced waves that came through, and one of them in particular was about 90 feet in height. I'd been surfing up until about 5 minutes beforehand, and it was my turn to change over, so I got Garrett. Garrett wanted to go on the rope after a bit of coaxing. He wasn't feeling it that morning, but after he thought about it, he wanted to go, so he got on the rope. I got on the safety ski and Cuddy drove him, and this thing came out of nowhere, and we were like, what is that? And just we could spun onto it, and next thing it was a massive wave, and potentially, from what I've seen, it's probably the biggest wave ridden in the world so far. Whenever I grew up, all I thought about was big waves existed in Hawaii and California. We're now riding them in Ireland, and to have the biggest wave ridden in Portugal this year, I think it just shows you how the tables are turning in terms of big wave surfing. Bunk Campers are a cool company. They're young. Everybody who works there seems to have experience on the road in terms of using camper vans, camping, travelling. So that's always a massive bonus for anybody who wants to go and hire a camper van. People who you're renting from have experience and they know what they're talking about. They've been out there and experienced the problems you have when you run out of water or you run out of whatever, and they've got experience to help you with and talk to you about. So the Bunk Camper is really easy to use. My experience is I travel a lot and often quite last minute, so within maybe a couple of days notice, seeing good waves or a good chart, I want to be wherever I can be as fast as possible, and that means throw my stuff in the bunk, hitting the road and driving to, maybe it's Eastquay, maybe it's Bundoran, and I can park right there. I don't need, quite often you go to these places and there's no toilets, there's no showers. You've got it all in the van here, it's all ready to go, and that's the beauty of it. And like, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'5", and I can comfortably sleep in my bed in there with my boards around me and whatever, so it's cool and it's got everything I need. I find the Bunk Camper is actually quite warm. Even when recently I was down the west coast and I didn't even put the heat on. There's gas central heating in it, but I didn't even use it. It was just warm enough anyway. I pulled the curtains and under my duvet and it was fine. But sometimes after a surf, if it's really cold, I'd put my wetsuit off quickly and then turn the gas heating on, and it's warm so quickly in no time. And there's times I've made a cup of tea in the stove and whatever. So it's great for. It's just great for camping. I used to travel around in my own transporter van, and anyone who's done that before knows how cold that can be, and damp and wet, and your wetsuits are dripping all around you. I get in here, I hang my wetsuit in the shower, turn the gas heating on, make myself a cup of tea, put my feet up, watch a DVD. It's pretty good.